Hello, I'm Debbie. Are you someone who chooses not to or cannot eat gluten? Well, if that's the case, the holidays can be a landmine for you. So I have 13 tips to help you navigate the holidays and maintain your gluten-free diet. A lot of people don't really know what is gluten, what foods contain gluten, and what does it mean to eat gluten-free. So you can't just assume that your host or restaurant or party organizer is going to know what it means to eat gluten-free. So you need to be willing to educate your host, the restaurant, or whoever is organizing the party. Tip number 1, explain to the host why you can't eat gluten, why it matters to you, and what will happen to you if you do. Communication and clarity is really important. Tip number 2, offer to bring some gluten-free dishes and explain to the host, I will bring plenty to share with everyone and they will be delicious and everyone will enjoy them. And this way you know for sure that you will have food that you can eat. Tip number 3, a lot of people don't understand that there is such a thing as cross-contamination with gluten, and if you have celiac disease, this can be a very serious problem. So someone who is making a gluten-free dish in a kitchen contaminated with gluten can actually contaminate the gluten-free food by accident. So especially if you have celiac disease, it may be very wise, unless you know the person quite well, to not eat anything they offer, because you can't be sure if it has not been contaminated with gluten by accident. And tip number 4, if your host is still insisting, no, it's fine, I will provide gluten-free dishes, just be patient, be kind, and say, that's really kind of you and I appreciate it, but I'm still going to bring some of my own food that will be gluten-free, and I will bring enough to share with everyone. And I do really appreciate your thoughtfulness, but I insist I will bring some gluten-free dishes for everyone. Just insist in a kind and courteous way. Tip number 5, ask to be involved in the organizing of the event. That way you will be aware of what's being chosen and you may have a say in the final choice. Tip number 6, explain to the group why you cannot eat gluten, how eating gluten makes some people sick, and explain about cross-contamination. Tip number 7, call the restaurants or caterers that are on the list of possible choices and talk to them, ask them about their gluten control procedures. Do they understand what foods contain gluten? Do they know how to do gluten-free dishes? And really make sure that you feel comfortable that they know what they're talking about. Tip number 8, if you feel that the restaurant or caterer cannot provide you with an adequate level of gluten control so that you would feel comfortable eating their food, then suggest alternatives to the organizing group. Tip number 9, build a list of restaurants and caterers in your area that you have talked to or where you have eaten and you know that everything is fine and you can eat there and it will not be a problem for you. And then present this list as alternatives to the organizing group. And if the group is not really willing to go along with your suggestions and they end up choosing a restaurant or a caterer where you do not feel comfortable eating the food and you do not have a choice in this, just explain to the group, thank you, but I will be doing the following. I will bring my own food to eat at the restaurant or at the event, or I will eat before I leave my house and I will not eat at the event, or I will not attend, because unfortunately the choice you have chosen is not a choice where I feel comfortable and I do not feel they will provide the level of gluten-free control that I need in order to be comfortable eating their food. Be polite, be firm, tell them these are the choices, and based on what happens, you know what you're going to do. Tip number 11, whether it's a catered event, whether it's a restaurant or a home party or a potluck, before you eat anything that you haven't prepared, always ask what's in the food, because there are so many hidden sources of gluten. Salad dressing, soy sauce, dishes that are prepared with wheat as a thickener or wheat as a coating. It's just everywhere. So ask in a detailed manner for a detailed ingredient list of what's in the food. And if there is anything in the food that you think is not going to be good for you, then stay away from that food. Tip number 12, if you have any doubts about the availability of gluten-free food that you will know you can eat and feel comfortable and safe in eating, then eat before you leave the house. And depending on the time of day and what kind of a meal, if it's just lunch or dinner or whatever, eat enough that you'll be able to go for the rest of the day and not be starving hungry. And tip number 13, carry an emergency snack pack with you at all times. I always have a little bag in my purse that has a gluten-free granola bar, it has mixed nuts, and it has a gluten-free snack. So if I end up being stuck somewhere and I haven't eaten, I forgot to eat before leaving the house, and it's been hours since I've been home and I'm absolutely famished, I know I have my emergency snack pack and I will not be tempted to eat, oh, I'll just eat this, it's just a little bit of gluten in it, and then the next day I'm sick. So I hope you find these tips helpful, and I want to wish you all the best of the holiday season. And these tips are useful all the time, but especially now that people are really gathering and having parties. Good luck with your gluten-free eating. Like I said, be polite, be firm, be courteous, communicate and explain, and you will have a great time, and everybody else will too. And I think in the end, even if your host is resisting and says, no, I'm going to provide gluten-free food, don't worry. If you provide dishes, you're going to take the pressure off them, and I think it will help them relax and enjoy their whole event a little more as well. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you find this information helpful, and if you do, smash that like button, subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed, and share this with your friends. And if you are someone who can eat gluten, listen to this, and maybe it will help you understand your friends that can't eat gluten and why they make these crazy, strange requests. Happy holidays, everyone. I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye, and thank you for your support. So my first tip for you is tell the host you can't eat gluten and explain what it means for you, why you do not eat gluten, why it matters. Communicate. That is very important. Scrap. Okay. Tip number 3. A lot of people don't understand that if you actually have celiac disease, cross-contamination is a serious issue. And if someone is making, even if they're making a gluten-free dish in a kitchen contaminated with